Howdy. Welcome to the Tony DeGonia Show. We're coming to you straight out of East Texas. So find you a spot where you get some good signal, grab you a glass of sweet iced tea, and get ready, because we're jumping in feet first. Welcome, everybody, to this special Friday edition of the Tony DeGonia Show, Cyber Simplified edition. It is Friday, May the 4th, 2018. I'm glad that you guys could make it. It has been a crazy week, y'all. Crazy week. And as you know, I've been promising that I was going to do a show on the Sony hack. But gosh, as I got into the Sony hack and started digging around and finding more and more and more information, that hack was so big and so all over the place that there's no way I'm going to be able to cover that all in a single session. It's not fair to you guys for me to, make a 4-hour podcast or even a 4-hour documentary, which is not fair to me because I'm not very good at making documentaries on the Sony hack. It's unreal. It's kind of unbelievable. Unlike some of the other hacks and breaches that we've talked about so far, Sony was, it certainly appears to me that it was an act of vengeance, not necessarily a monetary thing, unless the monetary thing was to hurt Sony monetarily, which they did. But gosh, it just one source that I found, it took me over 2 hours just to read the source material. So anyway, the discovery on that thing has taken days so far, and I still haven't even scratched the surface to try and put together a show for you guys. So what I'll wind up doing is I'll wind up just creating a special Sony hack series sometime down the road once I feel like I've gotten what I need and where I need to be on that thing, and then we'll release it then. I don't think it's necessarily appropriate for the Cyber Simplified series because Cyber Simplified is really focusing more on small business and how small businesses get hacked and the premise behind that. So what I do have for you today is I was doing a little reading today, and I ran across an article from I found it on Information Week. Under Strategic CIO, 10 stupid moves that threaten your company's security. And I thought, that's probably perfect for a Friday podcast. It's not too long, it's not too short, and it gives you guys some good, solid information. I really liked what it had to say. So if you'll indulge me, I think this is what we're going to release for this week. You can find it on our website and on the slider on the front page, so you'll see it. So I'm going to start off with the article. Now, the article was written by Dawn Kawamoto, who works for Information Weekly, I believe it is. She actually works for a number of people, Information Week, and there's a bio and everything on her. She did a pretty good job on this article. So as you walk through the door of your company each morning, you are potentially poised to be the weakest link in your organization's defense against hackers and malicious attackers. Here are 10 boneheaded moves you make often without realizing the security risk. Despite companies spending billions of dollars on information security technology, it turns out that the greatest threat to their security may be you, their clueless employee. And sometimes that includes the CEO or the entrepreneur or the boss, the general manager, whatever you call yourself, the big guy or gal. Sometimes you do it yourself, then that's okay. Granted, employees' intentions are not always meant to be malicious, but rather it's often a case of boneheaded maneuvers, say security experts. And employees as a collective group account for a wide swath of the confidential data loss at companies, according to a recent study. Of the 5,564 IT professionals queried in the Global IT Security Risks Survey by Kaspersky Lab and B2B International, 73% were affected by internal security incidents. It turns out that employees were the largest single group that created this confidential data loss, accounting for 42% of incidents. It's staggering how often this happens, says Andrei Poskin, Senior Product Marketing Manager for Kaspersky, in reference to the frequency of employees creating this data loss. Rob Sadowski, Technology Solutions Director at RSA, the security division of Storage Titan EMC, noted end users are the front line of defense, the first stage of an attack to gain a foothold in the organization. It's not to circumvent the security system in place, but to gain access. Once access is gained, then the attack begins and it's off to the races and the threat spiders out. And what are companies doing to educate employees on security issues, given they are the first line of defense? An estimated 75% of companies with more than 100 employees have some sort of training, says Chester Wisniewski, a senior security advisor at security firm Sophos. That training can range from selecting a complex password to an awareness of phishing attacks, which is when an attacker tries to lure a user to click on a link to a malicious website or download an attachment loaded with nefarious code, like software that will log a user's keystrokes, or what they call in the business keyloggers. Wisniewski added that the larger company, generally the more extensive the training program. He added that the type of industry a company is in will also make a difference, noting even small companies in the tech sector usually have some form of security training. That said, however, Wisniewski noted, a lawyer, an accountant, or someone in marketing will never be computer nerds. I take offense to that, by the way. As a result, here are 10 boneheaded moves to reduce your chances of becoming the weakest security link at your company. Are you guilty of any of these missteps? Did we leave any out? What are you doing at your company to minimize potential security risks? Let us know. Okay, so security risk number 1, lazy encryption. Although companies may encrypt their corporate financial information or valuable intellectual property, it doesn't do any good if the employee who is accessing the encrypted information forgets to return the device to a state where you have to enter the code when they step away from their smartphone or computer. I was at a Starbucks and a guy had a financial spreadsheet on his laptop, but left his computer on the table when he went to get his coffee. I see this happen often, Wisniewski said. In order for encryption to be useful, you have to lock your screen. I think people think encryption is magic and their device is protected at all times. Surprisingly, 30% of the 1,700 IT decision makers who were polled in a recent Sophos survey indicated their organization failed to always encrypt their corporate financial information, and 41% said they only occasionally encrypted files filled with valuable intellectual property. So, to me, there's a failure amongst employees, a laziness, just like it says, amongst employees to ensure that that they're doing their part to keep data secure. I remember back when I was in the Army, you know, I had a security clearance, had everything, and so I worked with some pretty secure secret equipment way back in the day. That was a long time ago. It's not nearly as people know about it more now than they did. You know, blanket smoke signals. You know, pretty simple stuff. But anyway, I was talking to a buddy of mine who was in the Army with me, and we got to talking about one of the pieces of equipment. And apparently he noticed someone sitting next to us that was kind of watching us. And even though we weren't talking very loud or anything, he said, "Hey, man, let's talk about something else." And I looked at him kind of funny, and he said, "That dude over there." And I said, "Okay, I got you." It's that simple. You know, if you've got access to secure information, treat it like it's secure information. Treat it like it is gold. You wouldn't take your brand new gold watch off, your Rolex or your Tag Heuer or whatever, and leave it laying on the table at Starbucks before you went to get your coffee. So why would you leave your computer unlocked? That's all they're saying there. Let's move on to the next one. Infected BYOD. BYOD, by the way, stands for Bring Your Own Device. More and more companies are allowing you to bring your own devices, to bring your own cell phones, tablets, sometimes even computers. They've got to be careful. So the next one is infected BYOD. Half of employees by 2017 are expected to require their workers to use their own devices for work-related tasks, research firm Gartner predicted. I would say, it might even be more than that. But with Bring Your Own Device comes certain problems, notes Bruce Snell, Security and Privacy Director with Intel Security. Consumers are known to unlock their phones, otherwise known as jailbreaking the phone, and then engage in the risky business of downloading apps outside of Apple's App Store. And they also do it outside of Google Play. There is a way to jailbreak. It's more like cracking Android phones, which undergo a vetting process by Apple before they are included in the store. Snell noted that employees who load non-Apple sanctioned apps in their iPhone or third-party apps outside of Google Play for their Android phones may be at greater risk for unwittingly loading malicious software onto their mobile devices, then infecting their companies when they connect their devices to the corporate network. Users should stick to legitimate and major app stores, Snell advised. I want to add something to that. I know of at least 10 people right now, and I'm not going to name them, but I bet you I know 10 people right now who don't run any antivirus on their BYOD, their cell phone, their tablet, anything like that. They're not running any antivirus to match the operating system that's running on that device. And that in and of itself is a security issue because there are signatures written by the major antivirus companies, and a lot of times you can get that antivirus for free, even from companies that are known to be pay for play or pay for antivirus type companies like Kaspersky or AVG. Any of those guys, you can get their higher end software for your cell phones and tablets for free in a lot of cases. So check it out on those. But you got to get it off the legitimate store. So check it out. USB clutter. One security risk also comes from employees putting data on USB devices and not cleaning or removing unneeded data from the thumb drive after it's been used, says Michael Angelo, Chief Security Architect at Micro Focus. The question is, can the USB device be lost or used by someone else? Angelo said, if so, will the sensitive data still be on it? In any case, could the data be exposed on the USB device? And I will answer that question, yes, 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 and yes. Here's the deal. Unless you went and bought a USB device in the store, you should probably assume if you get a USB device from anywhere that it's contaminated. If you're going to plug it into your computer, make sure that you've got antivirus that will scan that USB port and scan that disk before it's allowed to formally connect to your computer. Once it scans and is found to be clear of any malicious material, only then can you even start to think it might be safe. And even at that, you still may not catch it if there's some sort of zero-day code or something like that on there. What I recommend is in a corporate environment, don't use it. Don't use USBs. There's too many other ways to share sensitive data that is much more secure than using a USB device. You simply don't need it. Now, there are some cases where it's absolutely essential that you use it no matter what. There are drive eraser utilities out there that will give you a Department of Justice, DOD, Criminal Justice Information Systems level cleaning on a drive, which I believe is a minimum of 10 overwrites that you can use to clean that drive, which will ensure that you get everything off of it before you load any information on it, or before it runs. You can plug it in and it'll stop everything. It's important. Don't try to do it yourself. If you have a corporate IT department, use them. Take the thumb drive to them. Tell them what you need to use it for. Get their permission, because just as soon as you plug it in, if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to jack it up, guys. It's going to be ugly, and you're going to be responsible. And next thing you know, the FBI is going to come up in there talking about you did it. All I'm saying is be careful. It's just a safety thing. USB devices, they're pretty much of the devil anymore. They had a good purpose back in the day because they replaced CDs and all that other stuff. But yeah, they're not good for most corporate environments. And if you bring one from home, you technically could be held liable if you were to infect something in a corporate network. I'm not a legal person. I'm not a lawyer. But I have seen some stuff happen where people have gotten in trouble for that. Okay, next one. And we're all guilty of this one. Most of us are anyway. I know I've not done this a whole lot, but some people overshare on social media. It says being a social media blabbermouth. I don't share things about work. I do share things about looking for a job because you got a network. And I think we all overshare from time to time, whether it's that friendly rant or whatever it is. But with social media, it's hard not to be a blabbermouth sometimes. It's hard not to be social. But there's one huge drawback for those folks who are blabbermouths. They can give the proverbial bad guys enough information to become a target of a security attack, not to mention a wealth of information about the best approach to take. By posting a lot of sensitive details about your job, your role, your responsibilities, that may be unsafe use of social media. For example, an Oracle database administrator may tout how many servers they are responsible for and the work-related apps that they know well. An attacker may want to give this high-value user or target. They may want to target this person because by breaking into their computer or mobile device, they receive more bang for the buck in terms of their effort. The same can be said for the administrative assistant to the CEO of a company. This tactic is used by more advanced attackers who do recon or reconnaissance on a company and its high-value targets, Sadowski said. You have to be careful. You really do. I mean, social media is fun, and we all get on there, and we've got our buddies and our friends, and we get on LinkedIn, and we've got our, I've got almost 10,000 connections. I've got a couple of friends. I got 20, 25,000 connections. And they do it for a reason, and I understand it's all about networking and stuff. But you've got to be careful because this really, really, really does happen. I mean, it's in the news. If you look at the root cause of some of these hacks, they've identified a person that they're going to go after and spam or go after and phish or, they're going to use some sort of social engineering on this particular person because they get their name and their title and everything. And so that becomes the center of the attack. And once they get access, and it only takes a few things to gain access on somebody. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. So our next one is delayed updates. Although it can be annoying to receive an alert or ping to do an update to your computer or device while under a crushing deadline to complete some work, security experts across the board say don't delay. People need to update when they get the notice because it will keep them resistant to attacks. When a patch is issued, often a vendor will do this based on a security vulnerability that is out there, and an employee will be in increased risk if they don't apply the update in a timely manner. I'm as guilty as anybody else. I hate doing updates on my computer. But in a corporate environment, even if it's a small corporate environment, first off, small businesses should probably be working with an IT group or IT company that's going to help them take care of those updates and automatically do those updates and force them to happen because they're essential. Especially Microsoft updates, because Microsoft is probably the most targeted, most attacked software on the face of the earth. Everybody targets Microsoft. There's probably 1,000,000 to 1 attacks on Microsoft to Apple, and probably 1,000,001 Apple attacks to Linux attacks. It's just the popularity of the operating systems. Apple's done a pretty good job of avoiding, those attacks, but don't let them fool you. They're not flawless. There are attacks out there that have taken down networks, Apple networks. I was actually working on a job one time when it was a company that was producing a very popular movie, and I was working on the set, and one of their executive producers got an Apple attack, and it stopped production for 2 weeks. I won't tell you any more than that, but I will tell you I have seen it. It is ugly, and we were able to get it fixed. It wasn't even my responsibility to work on, but of course, all hands on deck, so I did pitch in. Learned a lot. The phone scam, kind of back to what we were talking about social media. The phone scam, also known as social engineering, employees have more than telemarketers to worry about when answering the phones. They should be on alert to the possibility of being phished by phone. With these phone phishing attacks, a data thief will call the employees and use social engineering to extract such private data as account numbers or social security numbers and the like. Jeff Schilling, Chief Security Officer at security company Armor, cited examples of a phone phishing scam. Someone calls your work phone, claiming to be from the IT help desk, and asks you for your username or password, Schilling said. Or, citing another example, the scammer calls on your phone and directs you to go to a website to download a program to patch a problem with your company computer. Now, here's the problem with both of those. They may ask you questions that seem harmless. What's your favorite baseball team? What's your favorite? What's your dog's name? What's your mother's maiden name? Things that you may not, put two and two together on. And then all of a sudden they're gone, right? So what they've just done is they've just fished enough information out of you to be able to run what they call a dictionary attack, right? So they can take these variables that they've gotten from you, they can put them into a program that runs against your computer or against a bank account or several bank accounts, and they could have been, reconning you for a while. So they may know what bank you bank at because maybe you've mentioned it on social media in a frustrated rant or something like that. And next thing you know, they're running a dictionary attack on that bank account and trying to bust into your bank account. Well, it does happen, and it can happen. They can do that, with almost anything, right? So you got to be careful. If you're going to work, with a third-party IT company, you need to set up a password, challenge for technicians and employees. Make sure that there's a way for you to make sure that company is who they say they are, that person is who they say they are when they call up one of your employees. The other way to do it is, have a phone number that you call into when you have help desk issues. If they call you, then you hang up and call them back. Then you've really got the right people. There's just a couple different things you can do there. Just common sense stuff. But people get scammed every day, all the time with this stuff, and it's scary because some of it is so simple that people never even think of it. So the next one is phishing fallout. One of the best steps an employee can take is to be hyper skeptical of the emails that come their way and question whether the sender is really who he or she claims to be. In a phishing attack, an attacker tries to lure a user to click on a link that will take them to a nefarious website or open an attachment that downloads malicious software onto their computer. If you don't know who the sender is, or you do not know the sender is, or you do know who the sender is, but the contents of the email look suspicious, then you need to take a long, hard look and be circumspect on whether to click on it, Sadowski said. You may want to send it to the IT department and ask them if it's suspicious. More than once over the last couple of years, I have heard of companies sending hackers $50,000, $100,000. In one case, I even heard about $2 million being sent to a hacker who sent an email, came from the CEO's email. They were able to figure out the email address, so they spoofed the email address, sent that spoofed email address out on a phishing attack, sent them to a website to transfer money to the CEO because they were out of town. And so the CFO did it, signed off on it, called the CEO 15, 20 minutes later to say, hey, did you get the money? And the CEO's going, what are you talking about? This is crazy. Yeah, I didn't ask you for any money. Well, golly gosh, there you go. There's $2 million gone. Very, very difficult to get that money back. You just really got to be careful. These hackers are pretty tricky. Now, one of the tricks I will tell you that I do on phishing emails, I've got pretty good antivirus, so a lot of times stuff gets exposed. I also use a pretty good firewall in front of my network that will actually check out email as it's coming in and ensure that it's safe. If not, it'll mark it as spam. But if you get spam and it does make it to your inbox and you actually have that spam sitting there with the phishing attack in it, before you click on a link, just go hover on it and then go look down in the bottom left-hand corner of your Outlook client or whatever client you're looking at. Somewhere on that page, it's going to pop up and it's going to show you the actual link that, or the URL that button or whatever it is going to want you to go to. If it's, if you get a Bank of America, Bank of America email and the link that they want you to go to is for bustybabes.com, you can pretty well know that you're not going to wind up at Bank of America. So I would say, there's a couple of things that you can do just to be a smart computer user that'll keep you from getting dinged on some of that stuff. So just use common sense and don't trust anybody when you're getting emails. I mean, you know who you can trust. You know who you can't trust. And be careful with it. Let's see. The next one is absent antivirus. As amazing as it sounds, there are some employees who say they don't use antivirus software. They'll say it slows down my computer, but I'm wondering if it's maybe the 30 web browsers that you have running, Snell said. Attackers go after employees first, and if you don't have security software on your device, you'll get compromised. Listen to it. Hear me. I'm going to say it again. You will get compromised. I see it all the time. One trend is when companies buy security software for their infrastructure, and those security software companies will also sell them a component and then enabling an employee to use the security software for home use. It's a good way to extend the safety net, said Snell, who estimates that 75% of employees who are offered this extended security would make use of it. I don't find that to be the case. In my experience, most employees want to keep their work computer separate from their home computer. So they go home and they have all kinds of bad habits, which is okay at home. It's only when they bring them to work that they have problems. My point is yeah, that's a great idea. And a lot of antivirus companies do give away that free antivirus, like he's talking about there, for home use. But you can't make an employee use it. Number one. Number two, you can force them to use antivirus on their work computers. You can also force them, if they use their own computers or smart devices, to use the antivirus of your choosing. You just have to write it into the policy that you're going to use for your IT policy, number one. And number two, you have to provide it for them. And then if you find that there are also some devices you can put on your network that will make them authenticate and do a scan on their device before it allows them to access the network. And if that antivirus isn't found on there, then they won't be able to authenticate into the network and get any work done. Off the top of my head, I know that that WatchGuard Technologies has a service for mobile devices, tablets, and cell phones that will actually make you authenticate against the firewall with your mobile device via wireless before you can access anything, whether it's VPN or whether it's locally plugged in, anything wirelessly within, on premise, before you can access anything anywhere on a network. You've got to authenticate against the network, and then it's going to check for your software revision, antivirus. Are there any third-party softwares installed that didn't come from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store? If for some reason your phone doesn't meet compliance, it just kicks it right off the network, and you don't get anywhere. No pass, no play, kind of deal there. And I think that's a great thing. I think there are more and more firewall companies and wireless BYOD, MDM solution providers that are making solutions like that. I think it's important for network security. I know this has kind of gotten beyond apps and antivirus, but it's something serious to think about. So the next one is unreported stolen devices. I have a good friend in Las Vegas, Nevada, who will remain nameless because I would certainly hate to embarrass him. Actually, I'd love to embarrass him, but I'm not going to do it. Who, when he went into a restaurant, parked on the street right in front of the restaurant. My friend is African American man, and his car got broken into, and he's a camera guy. He sells surveillance systems, and the story that he told me was somebody walked up middle of the day, bashed in his back window in his rental car, took his laptop, passport, got his computer, got his computer bag, had a little bit of money in it, nothing major, but he lost a cell phone, a laptop, and passport and stuff like that. While sitting next to it was a case full of about $25,000 worth of cameras and stuff for his demo kit. And then when the police showed up, after he borrowed a friend of his, one of his coworkers' phones, and he called the police, they tried to arrest him thinking that he was the culprit, when in actuality he was the one calling the police. We think it's funny. I don't usually get into geopolitical stuff, but I thought that was kind of messed up. But the thing about that is he didn't tell the corporate IT department for about 4 days that his stuff had been stolen. And so it made for a real hard time for him. So unreported stolen devices are big. If you suspect your wallet or purse was stolen, how quickly would you react and contact your bank or credit card company to report the loss? Well, you'd probably move immediately to make the call. And consider doing that if your laptop or mobile devices come up missing. Personally, if my mobile device comes up missing, it's like I done lost my right hand. I'm calling somebody. Assume they're stolen and notify your company's IT department as soon as possible, security experts say. Most people fail to notify their IT department if they think they lost their device. They think they left it at home and will wait until they get back home to check, said Kaspersky Pazogan. But that will give the attacker more time to use brute force to break into their device and jeopardize the whole IT security for the company. He added that if your device is stolen, the first step is to notify the IT department and then call the police, obviously. In Kaspersky's 2014 IT security risk survey, 19% of the respondents said they lost their mobile device that contained corporate data at least once a year. In actuality, a company I worked for recently said it was not uncommon. I got this directly from the IT department, that it was not uncommon for their employees to lose a cell phone 2 to 3 times a year, and that they felt that that was actually corporately acceptable, but anything beyond 3 losses in a given year would be considered neglect and could be punishable. So 1 time a year, that seems like a lot to me. And 38% of employees surveyed said it takes up to 2 days before they notify their employees that their mobile device went missing, and 9% says it takes 3 to 5 days before they report the loss. All I can say is most IT departments, and for you smaller companies, there is a software out there, and I'm not just trying to sell stuff because I'm not a partner with them. There's a couple of competitors that they have now. It is called LoJack for laptops. They also have LoJack for cell phones and LoJack for this and LoJack for that. Microsoft Exchange, the hosted exchange, has a way to wipe your devices as soon as they come online. The other thing that they have, LoJack for laptops, that's really cool, is once you activate it, as soon as somebody logs on and the machine gets an IP address somewhere, LoJack for laptops will send code downline that will lock the computer up so that no one can access it, but it'll keep it online as long as they keep it powered up, and then ping back to the LoJack for laptops people the geographic location of where it's at, IP addresses, things like that, right? So it gives the police kind of a head start on recovering the stolen items. So there are some softwares out there that you could use that would make a stolen laptop more palatable in a corporate environment, but it's still a stolen asset. So there's still the possibility of corporate data being lost, but there are ways to wipe that and make it where it's a whole lot better than losing, the millions of people's Social Security numbers, which actually happened a few years ago. There was a government worker, I don't remember the whole story, I want to say Health and Human Services worker who lost a laptop out of the trunk of their car, and it had like 40 million Social Security numbers on it. Not sure why they would have all that data on there, but the government was not happy about it, and neither were those 40 million people either, obviously. But I've got to hurry up because we're at the 45-minute mark. So the next one is, and next and final stupid thing is weak password. Many employees have heard the mantra of avoiding weak passwords, but a large number of people worldwide do not subscribe to such a practice. According to the Consumer Security Risks Survey by Kaspersky, it found only 58% of the 12,335 consumers it surveyed, well, that's a lot of people to survey, use password protection on their devices, and 16% don't use any password protection at all. RSA Sadowski noted users will often create simple passwords like 12345 or ABCDE, and said that there is even a list of weak passwords in circulation. Remember the dictionary attack I was talking about earlier? That's kind of what they use. That's one of the things they use is a list of weak passwords, and then they can add to the stuff as well. Those are the ones that hackers use first, Sadowski said. Two breaches usually occur. Attackers will try the same password that works in one instance on a number of websites that the user may log into professionally and personally. In other cases, an attacker may use a hacked email password from a user's company account on the same user's personal email accounts. And it's amazing the treasure trove of information that's in your personal email account. You may not realize how unsecure email is and how secure you expect it to be. Email is probably, of all the technology in the world everywhere, email is probably in the bottom 10 items security-wise. Now, there are ways to make it secure, but email as a whole, just pure, unadulterated email, just in its most natural state, the way it was designed originally, is it's less secure than a chat message. It is just extremely unsecure. I mean, that's why phishing is so easy. Because all you have to do is go into an email packet and change the from address in the header, right? You can do that right there in your your Outlook, Microsoft Outlook that you check your email with your client, and then send somebody emails. You can run a spam attack out of you can run it out of SurveyMonkey. You can run it out of any of the email programs. You just have to put the right from address, and people are going to think it's from that address. They're not going to know any different. There's not any way to really prove that it's not from that address. I've got a WordPress website that I play with, and I can actually take that WordPress website and set up an email function in it and tell it to send me emails from whatever email address I want it to send them from, and I can use my Gmail SMTP account, and it will send that email out through the Gmail SMTP account to whatever email address I send it to, and it looks, when I get the email, like it was sent from the account that I originally put in the WordPress emailer. That's crazy. That's crazy. It's that simple. Please understand, email is not secure. It's not secure. And I don't mean, I'm not trying to treat anybody stupid or talk down to you. I just want you to really understand the importance of it. I'm passionate about these things. So anyway, we've just hit the 50-minute mark on our show. I want to thank you for hanging out with us and going through, the 10 stupid moves that threaten your company's security. I hope it was informative. I hope that you got something out of it. I always have my take on everything. So there's a lot of commentary there. Hit me up on my website, TonyDegonia.com. Hit me up on my social media sites. You can hit me up on LinkedIn.com/n/Tony Degonia. You can hit me up on Twitter.com/Tony Degonia. or you can hit me up on my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Tony Degonia SE. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions, shoot them over. You can go to my contact page on my website. Anything you need there, and then we'll let the outro explain the rest. All right, thanks a lot, guys. Have a great day and a great rest of the week, and a happy weekend. We'll see you down the road. Well, y'all, looks like the show's over. So check us out on our website, www.TonyDegonia.com. Then click on the Tony Degonia Show button at the top of the page. You can also check us out on YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, or Spotify, or any of our social media outlets, which you can find on our website at www.TonyDegonia.com. Hey, thanks for listening in, and we'll see you down the road.